Hi guys! Now that you've read a little bit about eBird, I'm going to show you how to make an account and make a checklist. So first, just to show you the home page at ebird.org/content/ebird we've got our little home page. So there's news and features in the birding community, a couple of images of rarities around the world, their donate button, and then the Cornell Lab of Ornithology's link and the Audubon link. So we are going to go up here to My eBird to create your account. So I already have a sign in, but you'll need to make an account. So under create an account, you'll click on that, enter your first name, last name, email, and create a password and username. And note, if you've already created an account with one of these websites/projects, so for example, the Great Backyard Bird Count, you can just go ahead and sign in there. So I'm going to go ahead and sign back in. All right, and then it'll take you to your home page called My eBird. So this is basically your profile that is your face to the birding world, and it's got your life list, so all of the birds and observations that you've submitted to the website throughout your life. And then it's also got it separated by major regions. You can do country, state, province, county, etc. And it does year and month as well. So if you do a lot in December, you can see how your stats change. And then on the right, it's got your checklist, so you can summarize your observations in a little report. You can manage your checklists, view shared checklists that other birders can share with you, manage your locations, etc. All right, so we are going to go back up to Explore Data. And this is where we're going to find our checklists and other birding information submitted by other users. So you can search through photos and sounds. So if you hear a bird, or if you want to listen to a bird and try and identify it later, you can explore by region, explore hotspots, species maps, and bar charts, and then also a submission map. And the hotspots and submission maps are useful. They're useful during peak birding times to find locations with a lot of bird activity. So we're going to go ahead and explore a region, and we're going to enter in Alamance County because we are doing our birding experience in Cedar Rock Park in Alamance. And if you type it up, you usually have to enter a state afterwards, but ours is pretty unique, so it's right up at the top. And right away, we've got 200 species have been observed in Alamance County, and there are 2,995 checklists. And as you can see, one particular birder is very active this past yesterday, as of the day I'm filming this. And you can sort by species name, which as you can see needs a little bit of work. They're not quite alphabetical. And then you can do it by type. So in the area as a whole, there's a lot of ringneck ducks. And you can also do first seen high counts. So if you want to see large amounts of birds. So Mark Anthony in 2015 counted 1,200 common grackles, and that's an estimate. And those are the birds that you'll see in large flocks in the sky, and it makes the whole sky turn black. So he estimated around that many. So we are going to go to hotspots, and you can also do recent visits and an illustrated checklist, which is pretty cool, but we're not going to get into that as much for this purpose. So right away, our first hotspot is Cedar Rock Park, which is where we will be doing our count. So since it's a smaller hotspot, they have a printable checklist. And just to browse real quick, we can see that Mark Anthony, Andrew Thornton, Bradley, a couple people are main submitters for this area. So, around 1,000 common grackles, a couple of cedar waxwings, a bunch of different birds that you'll see. And you've probably heard the mourning dove around. So we're going to come back up here, and we're going to go to printable checklist. And this will give us a nice printable field checklist that you can bring with you. You can do your date and start time, duration of your bird walk, your distance, and your party size. So if you have more than a couple people, you can note that, as that might affect how many birds show up for you. Our groups are going to be mostly small, so we might not have this issue. And it starts off with crows and ravens, and then it goes through the different types of birds you would expect to see. So if you see something that looks kind of like a sparrow, you can go over to your New World sparrows and narrow it down a little bit. Although not much. We have a lot of sparrows in our area. All right, and you just right-click print. And here's another checklist for an area in Virginia, which is a huge bird refuge. And it's a much longer list with 279 species, whereas our Cedar Rock Park is just 115. One tool that I find useful is the Search Photos and Sounds tool under Explore Data. Here you can enter in a hotspot, so for ours it would be Cedar Rock Park in Alamance, and this site will give you pictures and audio and sometimes video of the birds that you would expect to see in that hotspot. So for Cedar Rock Park, you could expect to see dark-eyed juncos, eastern bluebirds, yellow-bellied sapsuckers, and a bunch of other different types of birds. And this can help you study to figure out which birds you might see and what their plumage looks like, their shapes and colorings. And it also gives you a reference for when you're out in the field. So between this and the Cornell Lab of Ornithology's All About Birds, you can look up where you expect to find birds, how you would identify them by sight, and how you might identify them by sound. So go ahead and print out your checklist, and we'll see you out in the field on your first birding session, and I'll catch you in the second video on how to upload your data.